Hey, Nick, how's it going?
Back in business, baby. KP Unpacked. We might be wearing the same clothes as last week. I don't know. Depends on when this episode airs.
The only way to find out is if you watch us on YouTube, right?
Gotta watch both episodes to know. By the way, I heard someone say earlier today that they watched the episodes.
Really?
There's people out there.
There's people out there. Well, I mean, I have to wear a hat, so I can't. Because I can't compete with your hair, so I just put a hat on.
Your hair joke has been pretty funny. I didn't even think about that today. I should have totally gone to the salon or something.
You need to get an Instagram account for your hair.
I had so my wife's sister was here with her boyfriend. Gosh, it was probably 2 weeks ago, staying at our house.
Mm-hmm.
Daughter, her boyfriend has a 13-year-old daughter, and she found out she guessed that Sarah was 18 years old, which I was like, your age, like the age guesses are, I couldn't quite say this in front of Sarah, but the age range that you're reading on humans is not totally super accurate right now. But anyway, she made the comment. She was like, "Oh, okay. Well, how old are you?" And I was like, "Well, I'm 36." And she's like, "Really? You're 36? How is half your head turning gray if you're only 36?"
Wow.
And I about fell to the ground. I was like mortified that she just called me like an old man and my hair's gray. I'm already self-conscious about it.
Oh. That you can do stuff. You can do stuff. By the way, in the medical field, my understanding is they can actually cure grayness.
Can they?
Yeah, they can actually cure grayness, but there's not enough incentive to do so. Right? Baldness, there's an incentive.
Yeah.
Right. We're going to keep you hooked on it. But the color industry is so massive that there's no
reason to solve the problem.
There's no reason to solve it, right? Yeah. It's like when people talk about the light bulb that lasts forever or the tires that can last longer. It's that same conspiracy theory, right?
Well, I'd buy the product.
What's that?
I'd buy the product. I'm ready to reverse my gray hair.
Maybe there's a peptide.
I'm sure there will be.
There will be.
There actually are some that are like in and around that idea. Yeah.
All right. So what do you want to chat about today? We're going to go through some
posts today because last week we just had a rift.
Yeah. Do we have any listener mail these days?
I haven't got any reader mail recently, but you probably, I mean, it's coming from your inbox, so you tell me.
How many episodes have we recorded?
I mean, gosh, I think we've been doing it about a year now.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we've missed too many weeks. I mean, I'd say we've probably got 30 episodes?
Yeah. Oh, at least. Yeah, I think so.
It's not bad.
No.
All right. So a couple of KP posts. Let's just run through the gamut. So let's start with some Substacks.
Yep.
The post I'm bringing up now is the skills gap that AI just created in AEC. Subtitle: if you are still using chat as a search engine, you are 2 years behind. So I read this post and I thought it was really compelling. So you reference your book, right? So let's bring up your book as like the research entity behind this post.
Mm-hmm.
And you referenced the changes in models since you wrote your book. So when you think about when you wrote your book, the model capabilities then, and your prognosis on what was going to happen, and then relate that back to the industry and kind of what's manifested adoption wise, walk us through the origin of that post.
So I think there's a couple of them, and I kind of highlight all the things that have happened, right? One, we didn't know much or anything about the idea of an MCP server. We were not talking about agents back then, right? We were very focused on, oh, I can create a funny image or I can create some text, right? It was more in that world. And then you look at that, and yesterday, Autodesk released their Revit MCP server. A couple days before that, Trimble released their SketchUp MCP server. So I think there's been a couple dynamics, right? So now, and then you throw agents on top of that. So in a world of like what we were, when I was running around giving my talks, I mean, think about it. Like I was giving my talks about, and literally the talk I was giving around my book was, "This changes everything," was the talk. That was the title of the talk. "This changes everything." And the entire narrative there was, my dad bought a PC. He told all the engineers in his firm that his son was going to replace them all with the PC.
Mm-hmm.
My 13-year-old son and his computer are going to put all you engineers out of business.
Yeah.
Well, that didn't happen, right? The internet came along. Oh, internet's going to put everybody in business. That didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, Excel spreadsheets. We're going to put accountants out of business.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, Lotus 1, 2, 3 before Excel, actually. And the funny thing is, one of those accounting firms, Arthur Anderson, embraced the technology and started Anderson Consulting, which became Accenture. That was their hedged bet against, accounting is going to go away because of spreadsheets in the IBM PC.
That's a fun fact. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Largest professional services business in the world. Spawned through the fear that spreadsheets in the PC were going to put accountants out of business. So I think and so the point of my talk was always, this changes everything, was my inkling that AI is going to change everything, right? This is not a fire drill. This is not a head fake. And a lot of things I talk about, it's been interesting about like the evaporation of middle management. It was a hypothesis. I didn't have agents in my vocabulary when I wrote the book, right? I mean, I was, Claude. What's Anthropic? I wasn't using Anthropic when I wrote the book. I was using ChatGPT, right? So I think when you look at everything, and then you look at like MCP servers, which I'm going to explain to people because there's a lot of people that throw it around, and then there's people that don't understand the power of it, it's pretty simple, right? If you take an API, which is how you access data out of software, and you throw an AI layer on it, and then you take another API and throw an AI layer on it, now they can talk, which means I don't have to match and field match exactly. I don't have to say first name equals F name. Right? It figures it out, right? It figures out everything in between with limited programming experience, right? So now, you connect Revit MCP to your Claude account and you start dropping in some drawings from a previous project. You maybe even take some pictures of a building you like, and you say, design an office building for me. And then it's designing an office building, right? So I think, the whole point of my book was like, great, this technology stuff, it's going to take over, make your life easy in theory, right? So now what skills do you need to have? And that's where I was like, hey, like I'm doubling down on what I wrote in my book, which is you have to be good at building relationships. You have to be a good storyteller. You have to be more human than ever before. You don't get to sit behind your computer typing away to a screen and emailing your clients anymore. And I think I had a blog post a couple months ago. It was like, you know what I love about AI? Everybody gets to, I'm long AI and I'm long golf. Invest in anything golf because everybody's gonna have much more time to play golf.
Leisurely activities,
and they should be playing golf with their clients, right? Oh, I'm too busy. I've got so much to do. No, let your agents do the work. Go play golf with your client. And I think that's kind of why I wrote that. I had a bunch of people text me like, dude, like I actually just had, during our little break, I just had somebody of one of the largest engineering firms in the world say, hey, I read your post. Let's chat. Because I think a lot of the stuff I wrote in my book, people, it was like, oh yeah, great, KP, cool ideas, futurist.
It was early. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
But
People
it's all
hadn't
like
felt
it's
felt
all
the same thing.
happening. Less than 2 years later, it's all happening.
Yeah.
And I don't think I thought about the timeline, right? But I think specifically in AEC, where so much of our work is, kind of on the computer these days. Now all of a sudden, with some of these automated CAD things, there's another tool called Blender that our team's been playing with. I mean, we're not far from just design me a hospital, right? And some people would say, oh man, could take away my job. And I'm like, was your job to draw? Or was your job to spend time with customers, understand what their needs were, and think about something unique and different, right? Impact on society, impact on, do all our buildings need to look the same? Probably not. That's why, we invested in Monumental Labs, and they do, they basically automate sculpture for buildings, right? People are like, why would you do that? I'm like, because I think the design constraints we've had in society, which is if I build a big white box, it's cheaper.
100%.
If I design a big glass building, it's cheaper and the contractor knows how to build it. I think
ornamentation in the previous era, basically before the last couple of years, was not economically didn't make any economic sense. It just was economically infeasible for the last 50 years or so.
Mm-hmm. And even if it was feasible, there's a little bit of like, well, how do I draw that in Revit?
Sure. Yeah.
How do I, if I can't draw it
in Revit?
Right. If I can't draw it in Revit, like, do the Monumental guys have a Revit plugin? It's like, if you can't draw it in,
are you going to draw gargoyles for the front of your building in Revit? Like, no one's.
Maybe now with AI, maybe with the MCP server, you will.
I mean, Monumental is going to build buildings with gargoyles on the front, and it's going to be spectacular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because gargoyles are the best.
They're the best.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Well, sorry. Finish your thought. Just on the post.
So I think that's the point, right? So if you take my book and say, hey, here's all the things that have happened since then, which wasn't that long ago, and then you look at our industry, I mean, it's a problem, right? I don't think, we have a class of engineers and architects that believe like sitting behind their computer and drawing in Revit is designing, right? They think that running a CRM and a newsletter is customer management, client management. I do think the contractors probably do a better job just because they have to be, in the field, right? They have to be at the project. But at the same time, I think like people want more, they want stories, they want to be engaged. I think one of the things, when people get mad at me about this, everyone I ever talk to that's going to get their MBA, I try to talk them out for the last several years. I was like, if you want to be middle management in a Fortune 1000, go get your MBA. Because it's a generalist business degree. Go get a master's in finance. Go to Kellogg and get a master's in marketing, right? Go deep in your master's instead of being a generalist business person. And I think those that have heeded my advice, right? Now with AI, like if you're really good at finance and you're an expert at finance, you can push Claude to do things for you.
Yeah.
But you can also do all the other things at a mediocre level. You can do some marketing things at a mediocre level, but at least you're an expert at one thing. So the idea, a friend of mine that worked at Bain's, he claims Bain invented the term, which was the expert generalist.
Yeah.
I don't know if they did, but he was very, the Bainies are very, they're away.
I like that term. I've never heard it, but I like that.
Yeah. I mean, isn't Claude an expert generalist?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. So now what? Now what? So I think in my book, I talked about a couple of things: the death of management consulting, the death of middle management. I have a chapter called Deming is Spinning in His Grave, which is the idea we've created so much routine process and checklists around everything. What that actually does is drive mediocrity. Whereas with AI, you and I don't have to have a template, right? We don't have to have, think about, I think I had another article, like we're talking about pitch decks. Don't send me 10 slides. Send me 100 slides. Send me the details. Send me the entire data room.
Yeah.
Because I can now infer from all your data, I can infer what's important to me versus you presenting what's important to you. And I think that's where our industry, where there's been a lot of pride in, I would say, the mechanics of the work versus the relationships of the work, not just the relationship with the client, the relationship with the users. If you're building a elementary school, maybe go spend some time in classrooms, go spend some time with kids, understand what they're going through, what they need, right? And design based on that. Instead, it's like, oh, we don't have time for that.
Yeah.
We don't have time for that. I got to go back and do some Revit work. So I think that's where that went to. And it's funny, one of the emails I just got was someone saying, hey, I just talked to our executive team. We need to figure out how to spend more time with you. Yeah. Like your Substack is getting sent all over the firm.
So the skills gap, to address that point in particular, what do you view as the current skills gap in AEC? Is it relationship? Is it spending time on the human side? Like, is it the design? Is it the design and the creation, the feasibility analysis? Where do you see people not spending time, and where do the skills lack?
I think in the world of using AI to build highly custom things, right? We suffer from this is the way we've always done it, and we've always done it, and it's been fine that way, right? And there's certain things, right? Laws of physics, but for example, we have one of our friends who runs a big engineering firm, and they design steel, reinforced concrete, and timber every time, just to see what the options are, like just to see what it looks like, see how it prices out, right? And what some would say is, like, you can't afford to do experimentation. Clients don't pay you to experiment.
Yeah.
Right. Clients don't pay you to experiment with a new type of material. And my point is, like, no, like, that's the job. I mean, engineering is not about cut and paste work. Architecture is not about cut and paste work. And, when you think about our ability to start off with a new page, right? Like, well, let's design another bridge. How did we design the last 10 bridges? Well, let's design it that way.
Yeah.
Right. Which is a lot of how people are thinking about this stuff. So I think there's that, right? The creativity in work to really think about the uniqueness of that, whether it's the customer, whether it's the user community of that asset, whatever it is, right? And to do highly custom things that don't cost anymore. It doesn't cost creativity doesn't cost you anymore. Right. Then I think it's the relationship things, which is being, I find it interesting how lawyers and tax accountants have become the trusted resource for a real estate developer, right? Not their architect, not their engineer.
When you say trusted resource, what do you mean?
Like, hey, I just got, I just met with an investor. They want to fund us building 10 office buildings. You're popping out of that meeting. Who is that real estate developer calling? their banker, their lawyer, their tax accountant. They're not calling their architect going, hey man, I just had this amazing meeting. We need to get together tonight for dinner and start sketching some shit out. Let's blow their minds, right?
Yeah.
It's more like, guess we have to hire an architect.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, but I think that mechanics of like, who do you call when you're excited about this new project? It's the lack of relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think those relationships are built. We're doing a hackathon next week with clients. They're like, KP, why do you do this? I'm like, because you know how you build relationships? You can do trust falls, right? You can go build houses as a group doing Habitat for Humanity. And those are all fine things to do. My view is like, let's go build product together. Let's go bang on some keys together and do it for a day. And at the end of that day, we're going to be much better acquainted than we did at the beginning of the day.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you're not in the mix with your clients, you'll never create enough shared experiences versus the client says, hey, I just got this, sends you an email, right? Hey, I need you to send me a statement of work. And your response is what? Sending them a statement of work versus saying, oh my God, this is so exciting. Do you have time for lunch today? Would love to take you out to lunch and celebrate and spend the afternoon talking about their vision and their thinking and their concerns. And
yeah,
nope, they sent me an RFP. I'm going to respond to it.
It's become so transactional.
Right. But the industry loves they love to blame the clients for this. I don't think it's true. I don't think you can blame, they're like, well, that's how our clients are. They want us to respond to RFPs with the lowest price. Well, I've gone and talked to these clients of theirs, and they're like, we've never talked to them about price.
Mm.
We've never said that. We've never said that price.
There's just like this hidden assumption they're operating on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it turns into like this weird urban legend. Everybody's like, oh yeah, like you got to be the cheapest. There are plenty of engineering firms out there doing work that are not the cheapest on any of their projects,
mm-hmm.
but they have great relationships. One of our dear friends, Tom Scarangello with Thornton Tomasetti. Tom is a relationship guy. He spends time with people. He spends time with clients. He is that engineer that if one of the clients has a challenge, they're calling him.
Mm-hmm.
They're calling him. I don't mean this to be pejorative, but I don't know that Tom's gotten any awards for his structural engineering prowess. I'm sure he would admit there's a lot of people at the firm that are much more technical than him
mm-hmm.
in the weeds, and that's fine, right? But the clients love him.
Yeah.
Clients love him. People love him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And he spends time and he asks those questions and he's great that way. But he's very empathetic. He's, very outgoing. And I think he does care about his clients. And I think a lot of times, I'm sure he would probably be his disappointment of not getting a project many times isn't the project. Hey, I didn't get the project. I don't get to work with these really cool people that I like.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably how he probably views things. And so I think
which is the right internal scorecard for that line of work.
Right.
It's not just about sending the RFP or getting the invoice and doing this, doing the statement of work. It's no, I just want to work. I want to work on interesting projects with interesting people. And I think that sort of energy that is conveyed and it stands out as a differentiator.
Mm-hmm. And how are we training people on this stuff?
I mean, right? You tell me what engineering firms are going through like intrinsic value relationship building training or sales training. Mm-hmm. Like to me, that skill set that you're describing that Tom has, that's not a sales training thing. Like he's not persuading anyone. He's just genuinely curious and interested in what they're doing.
Yeah, 100%. He's very authentic about it. It's not like a game, right? He's very interested and curious. Um, Another thing, I think I talk about is like human judgment. I think human judgment is a powerful thing. I think humans make great decisions when they have all the information at the right time in front of them. And I think, I don't know, I always think about how my brain works around decisioning. Like, how do we think about these things? And I think so many times we in our industry, it's not a decision. It's like, hey, this is what's comfortable. This is what I'm told.
Mhm.
You know, so I think that's another thing that people really struggle with. I also think like because of the way this industry works, you're not always in proximity of the owner, right? If you're the drywall contractor or the trade, you're working for a sub, the sub's working for a GC, the GC's working for a developer, like you're so far removed that I don't think you really think about like the framing of, hey, this is for the owner. And I was
Mhm.
talking to a CEO of an engineer, of an architecture firm actually the other day, and I was like, the number one thing you guys are worried about getting young people into this industry. The number one thing you can do that doesn't cost you a dime, not a dime, is letting young people have attribution to a project.
Mm.
I don't care if you're the guy that installed the door handles. I don't care if you're the person that printed off the plans. You have the right to say, that's my building.
Yeah.
I worked on that building. I helped design it. That's my building.
Yeah.
I've been in firms where like, don't go around telling people that. That's my
Yeah.
building.
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
I'm the architect of record.
Sure. You didn't earn that yet. Yeah.
You didn't earn that yet. You don't get to go around telling people it's your building. How dare you? And I was like, what does it cost you?
It's like sorry to transition this to VC, but famously Andreessen Horowitz,
Mhm.
who's arguably the most famous venture firm out there, they give everyone who starts new at the firm a partner title.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's at least it's like everyone or like the majority, 50% a partner title.
Mhm.
And the reason they do that when most firms run the exact opposite way, like there's a hierarchy, you have to earn your way up. There's like there's a real hierarchy there. Is because it doesn't cost anything to give someone a partner title. And yet that is what they want most.
Yes.
What does every junior VC want? They want to be called partner. Because this is true of, of our industry too. And,
Yeah.
young engineers, what do they want? Right? They want to be part of the partnership.
Mhm.
And it's just an interesting, like, I'm not saying that everyone should go out and, and bring the new hires on as partners, but like the reframe of what is cheap that actually gives the employee something they deeply crave and want. And oftentimes that's a title at the beginning. And
Mhm.
yet it also gives them like more ownership in what they're doing. Like it solves for the skin in the game issue. If you're a partner at the firm, you better
Yeah.
produce
Right.
or you're going to get cut. Like, of course you got to make your ends meet.
Yeah.
And so I actually think it's really smart. And I think there's something to that, to your point.
Have you seen this trend in startup world, like founding SDR, founding account
Yeah,
executive?
yeah. Founding engineer. Yeah.
I found it really weird at first.
Uh-huh.
But then I kind of applied the same thinking. I'm like, it doesn't cost you anything,
Totally.
right?
What,
And
what
maybe
does that
that's
what does that customer success person want most? They
right.
want to be a
Recognition.
founding member of the team.
Yeah, I'm the founding customer success manager, right?
100%.
It doesn't mean you're the founder. That's not what it means.
Yeah.
But I just within a window of time, I saw it popping up all over LinkedIn. Founding SDR, founding account executive. I was like, wow, this is like kind of interesting. I thought it was weird. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, this
Yeah.
is weird.
It's a little gimmicky. I mean, I think I think it's gimmicky, but here's the thing: you're not solving for the public perception. You're solving for the internal scorecard of the person you're hiring. That's what they care about.
Yeah. I can't pay you as much because we haven't gotten our Series A, but you get to be the founding account executive.
Totally.
I'm in, done. Right?
Yeah. It communicates a different level of stature if you were founding, if you were the first hire on that particular team, right? It's a way to communicate that you were in from the very beginning. And like if you just have that account exec title, the SDR title, doesn't communicate that.
Yeah. No, I think. Look, I think it's like super interesting, and I think if you look at the hierarchy, I remember when I was in engineering many moons ago, I started off as a staff engineer 1, and then I was a staff engineer 2, and then I was a staff engineer 3, and then I was a project engineer 1. Right? We had pay bands, and it was all in an employee handbook. And in my second year as an engineer, I drove more business than any single engineer in the firm. And my boss looked at me and I'm like, hey, do I get a promotion? He's like, I can't. You haven't been here long enough. And I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? What did my years of service have to do with that I'm crushing everyone around me and putting money in the bank for the company? And they were like, no, well, that's how that works. That's how that works.
Gotta do your time.
Gotta do your time.
Yep.
And I think that's a lot of this stuff that, because, I made a point on our internal Slack the other day, was that if you're going to use Claude, the bar is still greatness, right? You have to deliver great.
Yeah.
And you should not use Claude if you don't know what great looks like. Right? You should not use Claude to do your work if you do not know what the great deliverable looks like in order to iterate it to get it to great. Right? So it should never be a tool that I've never delivered great. I'm going to use the tool that way. I should only understand what great looks like. Now, if you don't know what great looks like, you should use it as a training tool. Like, how should this be? What should be? So it's your training partner to understand how to get to great, right?
Totally.
And I think that's one of those things where everybody wants to use it as, it's a hammer looking for a nail. I need a deck. I mean, I've been seeing some really beautiful decks that say nothing.
Yeah.
That say nothing. It's like, oh, you think because it's pretty, it's meaningful. It's pretty and dumb. It's horrible, right? Because you missed the point, right? And I mean, I'm seeing so many founder decks these days. They all look the same, right? You can tell because we know what it looks like. And the math doesn't math, right? None of it works. None of it's, and then you ask them 10 questions, because how it is when startups pitch you, we play stump the chump. What about this? What about that? What about this? Help me understand that. They have no answers. And so I think it's just as important to use these AI tools as a thought partner to learn things, not just to crank out deliverables, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of said, like, if you don't know what great is, you shouldn't be creating deliverables.
And I think there's a way to understand if someone knows if what they're building towards is great, they know what greatness looks like, have them send you an example.
Yeah. Yep.
Whatever you're building towards, send me an example that you're aiming for. I find that's like it's a pretty good test. Like if they send you a couple website examples on the design side, or they send you, a couple models that they've seen in the past that are good and they're mediocre. I think it tells you all you need to know. Okay, cool. You up for moving on to your next post?
Sure.
The data you give away is the advantage you lose. I think this is an interesting concept because obviously the incentive right now is to give away a ton of data to lots of different parties. So yeah, walk us through this post.
Yeah. So a lot of it, I think, so we've seen a regression, in my little sample size, right? where people are now not using Claude. Companies have disconnected it. Companies have banned it. I think some of it came from the Glasswing stuff, like people not understanding about, mythos and all that stuff, right? I think some of it was alarmist due to that. And then a lot of people, it's pretty interesting. I talk about, like, in our world, there is no such thing as the enterprise. The project is the enterprise.
Mhm.
And what that means is everything we do is project based. And if I'm the user, let's say you're the civil engineer working on the new Tesla factory, and Tesla says, hey, I don't want you sharing any of our data with the LLMs or with your internal LLM or your SLM or whatnot. You don't know, right? Because maybe you connected Claude to your enterprise email. Maybe it's connected, like, you have no control over it. And I think in a world where we are all in AC, right, we're just so fixated on IP for good reason, right? For good reason. That we're not really, we don't have control, right? Because whatever corporate system we have, whatever Claude's doing, people don't know what Claude's doing. People don't know where their data is. And so I think what you're starting to see is people are saying, like, well, I don't want to share that with OpenAI because I don't know where it goes. I don't know
Mhm.
how they're using it.
Mhm.
I don't want to, I mean, I always kind of, I kind of regress back to, like, early days of spreadsheets. There were the spreadsheets on the P drive and, like, the public drive on your, or the project drive at your company. And those were all the standard pricing spreadsheets and stuff. And then there were the spreadsheets you kept on your personal drive, on your hard drive,
Your
that you
local.
didn't
Yeah.
share, right? Because it's like, that's my IP. I'm not sharing it with everybody. They'll just screw it up. They'll screw it
Mhm.
up and then blame me, right? And so I think we're very much that kind of industry where if you're the project engineer on a big construction job, it's not the company's project. It's not the company's client. It's your client. It's your
Yeah.
project. And I think people are realizing that they don't know where all this data is going and what the value is. And therefore, like, in many ways, they might feel like they're putting themselves at risk. So I think there's been a series of events, but generally, I think people are kind of hitting pause now. I met with a 3,000 person company that just banned, in our industry, that banned Claude use. And so I asked the VP there, I'm like, so what does that mean? And he's like, it means we're all carrying around 2 laptops, our work one and our personal.
Wow.
I was like, really? He's like, yeah.
If you're that concerned about it, why don't you just set up on-prem?
Because they don't know how to.
I mean, yeah, there's like, but
I mean, Nick, I
Yeah.
run into AE firms these days. They're still running an Exchange server on-prem because they couldn't figure it. Like, they're still trying to figure out how to get from on-prem to the cloud.
Cloud. Yeah.
And I was
Well,
just,
it's perfect time to just jump straight back to on-prem. They
no, I
already
was
have
like,
the
yeah,
setup.
it's like bell bottoms. They'll be
GPUs
back.
add some GPUs to the racks.
Yeah, it's like fashion. Bell bottoms will be back. Just give it time.
That's hilarious.
But they, like,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
think about it, they're
interesting.
like, we never trusted the cloud, so we kept everything on-prem. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, how often does your email go down? I mean, literally, they were telling me that sometimes the email server goes down all weekend. And I'm like, what? Like, what do you
Yeah.
like? What do you do? That's insane.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's very crazy.
Yeah.
By the
Yeah, I
way,
think it's an interesting post, and I think that the data, like that data question, will everyone will have to address, and I think there's a lot of looking in the mirror you have to do about where you're headed as a firm, and we've talked a lot about how to protect your IP. There's a lot of leverage you can get from AI with your IP as long as the privacy and everything is secure. And then you can always go on-prem if you're a security nut.
yeah. It was interesting. I was reading something about like law firms, right? If they connect their email into an LLM, they're technically in violation of attorney-client privilege.
Yeah.
But I'm also like, but for my stuff, if you're going to spend less hours, please use it. Like I don't care.
Yeah. I have a friend who's a lawyer, and they block it on his when he opens his email. Like you can't
Yeah.
access it.
Mhm.
Fascinating.
Yes. Now everybody has a burner laptop,
100%.
which is even worse.
Good thing it's just easy to copy and paste text from an LLM. That's a text-based model.
Oh my god. So I mean, look, I think this is something the industry will struggle with. I think there's the other problem is there's plenty of people that are kind of anti all of this. They
Totally.
don't, you know, they're okay with their employees going out and getting their own ChatGPT account
Yeah.
because they don't have to pay for it. I mean, I had one group, 2,000 person firm. They're like, I was like, you guys need to move to enterprise Claude. Then you can have controls. Then your corpus of data stays within your firm. It's not staying in people's personal accounts, blah, blah, blah. They're like, KP, we looked at it. It's $200 a month per employee. We have 2,000 employees.
Wow.
That's insane. We can't spend that kind of money. I'm like, okay, don't. I'm not here to force you into something. But
Forest for the trees. Forest for the trees.
Yeah.
So I think a good way to close would be to ask you what the most interesting responses you got from the building transformations talk that you did. Because I imagine they were all across the spectrum, and probably just give people a preview for what that event is.
Yeah, so building transformations, it used to be called CanBIM, which is the Canadian BIM thing. It's a Canadian organization. It kind of, I think during the pandemic, like a lot of these orgs struggled, but so it's been really cool. Like I give a lot of credit to a lot of the GCs. So Jitke at Suffolk, Ty over at Hensel Phelps, Hanu over at DPR, the guys at Ellis Don, all of them kind of rebooted it. And what I found really interesting is, so it's an organization, nonprofit for GCs by GCs.
Yeah.
So instead of like other for-profit organizations monetizing their talks and panels, they kind of keep it in-house. So it was pretty nice. So I gave the keynote at that event around Zero RFI. So it was really the first time I have given like an industry talk on what we're doing at Zero RFI. It was pretty cool because there was like really good clarity on what I'm doing and why the tech matters and like how it matters. And afterwards, I had everybody come up to me and say, "Hey, can you come meet with my CEO? Can you come meet with my whoever? We want to understand how we can work with you." Because I think, the best way to describe, I think, what we have built, because we're delivering as a services organization, there's almost a correlation between the impact of the tech we've built, and the lack of TAM. Meaning, construction management software, massive TAM. I call it the major muscle tissue. It's a big muscle. It's a major muscle. We do not need to build that, right? Design tools, Autodesk, Bentley, they've got that figured out. Major muscle group, right? What we have focused on is the connective tissue that there is no TAM, but is likely the most critical aspect of where things break, right? So you're going to tear up your rotator cuff, but you're not going to hurt your chest and your bicep, right? So it's this interconnective stuff that's really the stuff that is most critical, that I don't care how good your major muscle groups are.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, right? And the problem with these things is that there's no TAM. So as VCs, we would never fund this stuff. But as an owner's rep, it's so critical, and we've really hacked that stuff. So a lot of the feedback I got was like, man, like I had an investor yesterday I pitched, and they said something that was very nice to me. They said of all the people in the construction industry, in the tech industry, you may have the highest right to win of anyone we've ever met. And I was like,
Fascinating.
cool. That
Yeah,
was very, very nice. In VC lingo, that's like a compliment,
totally. Yeah.
you know? Um, so no, it was a really good talk. It was pretty interesting too. I listened to some of the panels, and they were talking about citizen coders and how they have a lot of citizen coders, and now they're struggling to let them keep coding.
Hmm.
Right back to the kind of our conversation about privacy and this and that. There seems to be a lot of fears that is kind of driving like regression of adoption of these AI systems. And we're definitely seeing it on some of the startups too. Some of the startups that came out hot and heavy AI, whatever. Um, a lot of these firms that are diehard incumbent software companies, they're kicking out the AI tech startup, and they're just saying like, Procore's AI tools good enough.
Yeah.
It does the job. I don't need the risk. Like at least I know what Procore is doing. They're a public company. It was so funny. Yesterday, I posted something. There was an analyst from Jefferies, which I found fascinating. He said that he's like, I don't know why people talk about Microsoft Copilot sucking so much. His words, when they just turned around and sold 700,000 licenses to Accenture. It can't suck that much for them to sell that many licenses. And I was like, is that true? Like, is that true that it can't suck that much because Accenture bought a bunch of it? I don't see any startups running on Copilot, right?
Right.
So I think what's happening is people kind of gone to the edge. They're not sure what's down there. And so they're pulling back and saying, maybe Copilot is good enough, right? Maybe at least it's safe. Right. So people I think they're regressing to their wherever they feel safe.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Was the industry reception at that event, given that, it's mostly AEC people, not necessarily the people you're selling directly to, was their feedback, was there a level of threat that they felt from you? Was it obvious how they were going to partner with you? Did they have like a ton of questions on, just
Yeah.
like where are you going long term and how it relates to their business? Like what was that dynamic like?
Yeah. I mean, look, I think what's interesting is these are all like stalwarts of the industry, right? And
100%.
so
Yeah.
and they're friends, right? Like Ty at Hensel Phelps is not worried about waking up tomorrow and me putting him out of business, right? So I think it's a balanced view. I think the one thing that someone said that I thought was pretty interesting that was somewhat fearful. They're like, as a general contractor, our job is to manage, mitigate, and transfer risk. That is our job, right? To see risk coming, mitigate against it. Sometimes we have to push that risk down to the subs. That's the job. And they were like, KP, based on what I just saw, you might be able to take the risk down to zero or close to, which means why does an owner need to buy a GC, hire a GC? If we're the insurance policy of risk and your tools from what we saw, it looks like you have the opportunity to drive it down to zero, then why am I buying insurance if there's no risk?
Fascinating.
And I thought that was,
Yeah. Fascinating.
yeah, and then someone also brought up, I don't know if you know what OSIPs are. Those are basically like owner-controlled insurance policies.
Okay.
So you as an owner, instead of your GC and your subs having insurance, you can actually self-insure.
Okay.
And the main reason people don't do it is it's like a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of pain. But so someone also brought like, well, KP, if you're working with an owner,
Might as well do that.
OSIP policy, like, aren't you essentially the GC? I don't think so. Not near term. Near term. But I think, but I also feel like, look, you have a bunch of senior people. They're like, yeah, like I'll probably be retired by the time KP, that my retirement date and KP putting us out of business might be the same date, kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
what I love about that group is they are a little bit purist. They're not the business people. They're not trying to figure out, they're that's not their job. It's really just kind of more of a pure intellectual, technical view of the world.
Okay. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, I happened to catch most of your talk. I came in like 5 minutes after you started, but it's great. Thought it was good. Very clear vision, and it was the first time I heard you give a talk on Zero, so that was compelling.
Yeah, I got some bumps up. We recorded it. I rewatched it. Got some things to clean up a little bit. But
good. Watching
I
game
think
tape.
I think for that, I think for it landed well for that audience.
Yeah. I think one thing that came through, and I think you always do a pretty good job of this, is the disruptive potential was communicated well, of just like, hey, here's all this massive technology change that's happening in the background of the AC industry. Here's my vision for what's likely to happen.
Mhm.
Just, with all of that in the background. And here's the most efficient way to affect the most change for the built environment. And I'm going to build a company around that idea. And Shadow
Mhm.
that thesis too, right? But I think that most people haven't put all of those pieces together. Like, you have the AI conversation, you have the robotics conversation. No one's going, to the level of depth of like, how do the business model changes as a result? Where does risk transfer? How are we ensuring the project? How are we using inference? Are we doing on-prem setup? Like, it's so many questions to play out that full game theory. And I think what you did really well was like, you actually played it out for people. And for some people, it was like, holy shit. And for others, it was, okay, like, tell me more. I'm intrigued. And I don't think everyone in the audience got exactly where you're headed, but I think they saw that you've put more pieces together than anyone else cohesively.
Yeah.
With Zero. And I think that was like one of my takeaways.
Yeah. Yep. Vantage point helps, right? All those folks leave that conference and they got to get back to work and run a project and be heads down, right?
Totally.
Even in investing, right? We have the benefit of having a great strategic vantage point and not in the mix. We get to see the whole chessboard, right? They just kind of get to see their next move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nice job.
All right, man.
Talk to you next time.